meeting for our Monday, July 17th meeting. Thank you for the pledge. We'll open up with public comments. Anybody have anything? Bill, you don't have anything?
Me?
Yeah, you.
No.
Boy, oh boy, I thought there'd be something. So we have to wait until 7:05 for the public hearing. So why don't we skip number 2, because that will probably take a little bit. We'll go to number 3. And Susan, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a review and update on the water and sewer facility charges and billing, et cetera.
Okay, so we are in the throes of doing the next cycle of billing. The bill should be hopefully out by the end of next week. Still running into the same issues because of deferred maintenance. Trying to cut down as many of those estimated as we can, but it's just not even realistic at this point because of the deferred maintenance on the system. Also coming up, I know Leslie's gonna touch on it, in October is our bond payment that's due for the second sewer plant. That is $440,000 payment that is due. That's the debt service and the actual debt itself. We took in the last quarter of 2022, approximately $80,000 in facility use charges. We took in January, $135,000 in facility use charges. The reason January is so high is because people who didn't pay their water bills got re-levied on their taxes, so that came into tax income. And then the last quarter, we took in again approximately, I think, $83,000. That does not nearly add up to the $440 that's gonna be needed in October. We're short well over $60,000. So we're going to have to raise that facility use charge to cover the debts. It's just a matter of coming up and doing more final math to get a number that's going to be for every household. It's probably gonna be in the $45 to $48 a month range instead of the $37 that it is now.
Month or?
A quarter.
Quarter.
Yeah,
Quarter. So it's approximately going to, give or take at this moment, say $10 a month, or a quarter.
a quarter
A quarter.
additionally.
You're $37.57 at the moment, and it'll be somewhere around the 45 to 48 range is what we're seeing at the moment. But after this billing, we'll have a better estimate of where we'll be. And also, just to note that a lot of that money that has been collected over the last several billing cycles has been used for other things. So primarily it was supposed to be set aside for capital budgets, paying off of debt, et cetera. But when we took that over, we had, how much was it?
$282 and change
Yeah, so-
was in the facility usage account.
282, and then just prior to us stepping into our office, it was a transfer from sewer to general in the neighborhood of a $250,000 or $280,000 to cover, I'm assuming, other expenses that were paid. So we're really trying to nail this down so we can, come up with the final figures and put it to bed, for the next 30 years, and see where, and just basically follow that rule. And we can make adjustments to the facilities charge if we so wanted to, but, it's a double-edged sword. If you don't save your pennies along the way, we're gonna be asking for large bucks when we get there. So, once you start paying like anything else in your household budgets, it's, $50, it becomes part of your budget, and unfortunately, the estimate was low, and we're just gonna have to do the right thing, so we're covering our bills, and that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. Thanks, Susan. Anything else regarding that?
No, I mean, we're still on track to probably change between 300 and 400 meters this year alone. Again, most of that is because of deferred maintenance and changing them. It would be nice if we could go to the full reader system, but we don't have $2.5 million hanging out for that, so we have to do what we have to do, and we are only 1 year into the contract that we have with the subcontractor that takes care of our water and sewer issues.
Okay. Yeah, and that company was called JCO. They merged with a larger company, I think they were taken, and that's now H2O. So that's where we are with the people that manage the sewer and water. Okay?
Tom, there's one
yeah,
other thing I did
sure.
want to add to that. We are discussing with council, we are running into an issue where we're reaching out to people because we know their meters need to be changed, and they're just not getting back to us. They're not giving us access that we need. We are entitled to that access. It is part of our village law. I don't want to be the person that does it, but if we have to, we will go to fining people for not giving us access to our property. Maybe your house, but it's our property in there.
Yeah, and really for us to do the right thing for you, because there are just so many water and sewer billing issues that we're just really diving into it. Susan goes through a book after she enters all the information, tags every page that potentially has a problem with, you know, the outside meter. Potentially there might be an issue with the inside meter. Could be issues with the billing system, that when it was set up, the information was in there, was put in there as liters versus gallons, things like that. So we're ripping through both sides of this system to, you know, bring it to some level of competency so that when you get your bill, it'll be correct and we don't have to be spending probably 20 hours or more a week rectifying and dealing with user complaints, et cetera. So it's a tall order, but we're chipping away book by book. Anything else, Susan?
Yeah, I just had a question on the meters. When they're replaced, if it's the old meter, is that on the homeowner or is that on the village?
Depending if the meter appears to be damaged, then it would be on the homeowner. If it's a replacement because it failed, it's us. We'll replace it.
I know I paid for one once, but I don't remember what it was.
We are
Okay.
entitled to, under code, charge you for the meter.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just trying to figure out the cost of that, and maybe partially on the homeowners and not the village.
It's,
I do know I paid for one at one
It's-
point, but I don't remember
the
why.
current charge, because we did have a property owner request that they change, the meter be changed even though it was working correctly. It's $250. That covers the cost of the meter, and it covers the cost of the labor to install it.
All right,
So like I said, that we try real hard not to, you know, make a homeowner incur that cost. Unless, of course, they damage it. If that happens for a reason, of course, they have to pay for it.
I did pay, but I know I didn't damage it.
So how many are there that have to be replaced?
Between 300 and 400 are gonna need to be replaced this year.
And so what's the deadline kind of like on that?
There's no deadline, it's just a matter of, you know,
223?
Getting access to do it.
so here's
A lot
what
of
happens is, we'll call it, we have a number on file.
Mhm,
We don't get a call back, then I'll send a letter.
right,
I don't get a response to the letter, now I've started sending out certified letters.
right.
And I'm just saying, 30 days go by and you don't respond to that certified letter, we're gonna have to find a different recourse for you.
I mean, could a volunteer go and knock on a door and hand them a letter?
They do,
Yeah,
but if nobody's home and nobody answers, you can't make somebody answer their door.
that's correct.
You can't force somebody to call you back.
But you could cut down the amount, so. You could probably, you know, if you need somebody, you know, to help out with that, I would help out.
No, we don't, no,
Have the
we,
village person do that?
Yeah,
yeah, it's a contracted company that does it.
Okay.
thanks, Bill. All good, Susan?
Yeah, and we're at, over 7:05, so.
We are. So at this point, we'll need a motion to open the public hearing for 9 Bernadette Way property maintenance loan condition.
I'll open the public hearing.
Okay, do I have a second, please? Second. second on Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion has passed, and we're at a public hearing for 9 Bernadette Way. We have sent several correspondence to the, what we believe was the homeowner's bank, and then who we thought were the owners of the house. Both letters and any information that we have sent out has come back returned. And not being able to contact anybody, we offer obviously the public hearing portion so that the homeowner, business person, whatever, could come to this meeting and explain why the grass is in the condition it's in, try to plead their case, and then we would make a decision based on that. With that said, the people are not here to defend themselves, so we will be taking action to hire a lawn maintenance landscaping company to mow the lawn, effective, hopefully, as we discussed, to get it done ASAP. This
How
lawn
high
is
is the
in
lawn?
pretty deplorable shape.
How high is the lawn right now?
It's probably 2 feet.
Because we got one on my street, Decker, they don't ever cut the lawn.
Well,
And-
I don't know what's going on, but this is like,
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many homes we're being called to for lack of maintenance, and it's gotta be in the area of 8 to 10,
so there's
pushing
a,
12.
You can fill out an
basically,
incident
there's a
report.
regulation on that?
Yes,
Okay, so
so what
I'm
happens
gonna
is you
put
fill
that
out an
regulation
incident
in
form,
people's mailboxes.
right, you fill out the incident form, we
Okay.
receive it, the
Okay,
building department will respond, take pictures,
right,
then come back, send a notice of remedy, they have to respond within X amount of
okay,
days, and if there's nothing, then we move it into the public hearing, and they have a chance to come. If they don't, then we take it upon ourselves to pay for the landscaping company to basically cut the lawn,
right,
and then we will re-levy those charges onto their taxes, so we
mhm,
remain whole,
okay.
okay? So with that, again, with no one being here at the moment, do we need to take a vote to move forward, or just close the hearing?
We should do both. I would move to close the hearing and then move to
Yeah, have a resolution
confirm the
for-
building
yeah.
inspector's order. It's just that one line. It would be a motion to confirm the building inspector's order to remedy and to authorize the work. I think you have a proposal already, right, for the landscaper?
Yes.
Yeah, so to authorize that work to be performed.
Okay, so with that, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Second from Vernon. Way to go, Vernon. All right, so that's closed. Okay, great. Next will be an update on the parking conversation that we've had with a few of the residents, as far as being suggestion to put in meters downtown to potentially keep the traffic moving a little bit more frequently than cars parking in certain spots for periods of time. We've done a light survey talking to the local businesses, and currently they are really not in favor of parking meters. They feel that they are working hard enough to get people into their stores and to come to Washingtonville, and this would be a deterrent in the long run for them. The police chief is going to do a little bit of a formal survey for the businesses downtown, and once we get the results of that, it will actually be a more, again, formal process. Once we have that information, we'll share it with everybody. Okay? Also, that goes with really number 5, with the North Street and 94, talking about the municipal lots and the do not block entrances and things like that, especially on on South Street by the laundromat and so forth. People just don't really pay attention, they block the driveway, and it just causes a lot of commotion. In particular, we have the same issue on North Street and 94 during the heavy volume traffic periods. We did, again, have it suggested, and I'm gonna be meeting with Assemblyman Brian Marr, and that's one of our subjects that we wanna talk about, because we wanted to be able to get another traffic study done during the peak periods and see if there's anything else that can be done to relieve some of the pressure, left turns, right turns, and speed up traffic a little bit. So that's all in progress. Next is lead pipe inventory for Secord, Emerson, and Douglas. As we mentioned at our last meeting, we were able to we were notified by the Department of Health that there is a lead pipe survey that needs to be completed by next year, I believe it was October 2024. The urgency of getting to these streets again is because we would like to, once the drainage work is complete, and we're nearing that now, that we plan on paving Secord and Emerson Drive. But before we can pave, we want to make sure that there are no lead pipe services that are going into any of the homes. So a letter will be going out by the end of the week to those residents, and then we just need to have the timing with our H2O team to go out and basically investigate and look at it. There'll also be instructions in there for the homeowners if they're interested in doing their own test, where they can look at the pipe and realize it's copper based upon its color. They can take pictures, send us the pictures, and it'll be said and done. And we just catalog everything inventory-wise, and we can move to the next step for that area. Okay, so with that, let me jump back up, I guess, to our financial update with Leslie, so she doesn't necessarily need to be here all night unless she wants to. But she's going to go over the portion of PowerPoint presentation that we presented, I think, in our first month in regards to the issues and some of the things that had come up. I think everyone was aware that from our budgetary standpoint and the money that was spent out of our 2023 budget, 24 budget, that we were gonna have a shortfall of money, and we needed to come up with a solution, and that solution was to work with Senator Skoufis and Assemblyman Marr to write 2 bills, have them sent up to Albany, have them passed, send that bill now in front of Governor Hochul, thank you. And at this point, we're just waiting for her to sign it. There was meetings last week with her, everything seemed to be moving forward. Now we're just waiting for her to sign the bill. That will allow us to move forward and start the process to potentially go out into the bond market and have our people in charge of that go out and try to get the bonds so that we can refill the budget with that missing money at the end of the day. So I'm gonna turn it over to Leslie, and she can fill you in on what's been done to date on those details. You want that?
It's also.
They also have it.
Yeah, it's slide 5. This just summarizes, as what the mayor was saying, when we go out to issue the deficit financing. This is just a table that's gonna summarize the additional cost per resident, principal and interest on the debt that's issued. So based on what we've seen so far, we're estimating to issue a bond of between $3 million to $4 million. So we just broke it down. You'll see the first column, it says based on $3 million. And as of now, we don't really know the interest rate until we go out to the market. We've been advised it's probably gonna be about 7%. So if you look at that second line down, 7%, the total bond payment for 1 year is the $427,200. So based on each resident, they're gonna have to pay an additional $224.84 per year. And then I just broke it down by quarter and by month. If you move over a little bit more, if we issued the $4 million bond at 7%, the total principal and interest will be, for the year, $569,600. So per year, each resident will have to pay an additional $299.79. Again, this is an estimate until we go out, until the governor signs the bill, which seems pretty hopeful that it's gonna happen. And when we go out to the market, we'll, get a more definitive answer on the interest. But this is pretty close to what each resident will have to pay every year for the next 10 years.
Leslie, you mean resident or household?
Household, sorry. Household, thank you for clarifying. We're also working on, from this point forward, myself, the mayor, and all the department heads are going to start to sit down and project out the fiscal year 24-25 budget. So we're able to give everyone an idea of the potential tax increase for next year. So we're working on that. We're looking to present that to the public in and around the September board meeting. And with that, going through all those projections, as Susan mentioned, we will figure out the facility use charge increase as well from the 37.50 to, you know, whatever it could go up to. So based on that calculation, we'll present what that could potentially go up to as well.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Let's see if there was anything in addition to. Yeah, I just wanted to review the rest of some of these screens to see if there was anything new. The new stuff I already really mentioned to you in regards to the bonds and, you know, our efforts in working with our local assembly and senator and getting that bill prepared. I really have to thank both those guys, the board, Leslie, these guys did an unbelievable job. And I think less than 2 weeks, the bill was written, reviewed several times in different conference calls with multiple layers of people, and then eventually agreed upon. And we passed our resolution here. The next day, the next morning, I drove the bill up, met with Senator Skoufis's aide, gave it to her. We double checked everything, the signatures, the notaries, everything. And she took it, and from there, everything just is kind of where we are today. So, but they did a marvelous job, and I can't thank both of them enough. And really, at this point, getting it in front of the governor has been a real huge monumental hit, so we're very happy about it. And we'll keep you obviously updated as we go through this. Okay. And there anything from that? Yeah, Dave?
Can I ask a dumb question? How did we get in this mess?
How much time you got?
Well, if you read the first several pages, you know, it really started out with between the election and us taking office, previous mayor and board, you know, they were all responsible. They wrote out $1.7 million worth of bills to different contractors, vendors, and that started the ball rolling. That was the big hit. And then the other large issue was bills were not paid on a regular basis. And so we ended up paying bills from 19, feels like 19, 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. The big monster bill that was in that $1.6 million was over $600,000 of insurance payments that should have been made in 2022. But I believe they were in financial straps and didn't have the money and just sat on it until the new budget was adopted and then the tax dollars came in. And that's the only thing that I can really surmise that was going on, because who would write that amount of money in 2 weeks? And to add that there were no board meetings, there were no resolutions, there was nothing. This was done behind a door, in this office space someplace, and that's why we are where we are.
Well, I realize the board has inherited the problem that you got.
Yes, we
It's
did.
not yours. Anyway, we getting restitution back on that money? from your
Well,
board?
one of the things that we discussed again early on, and in some points we were even in that audience, was that we felt that, controllers detailed risk analysis, audit to be done. The great news is, as of today, we've had a meeting with the controller's office. They've agreed to the risk analysis, and that process is starting. So they're gonna be here 5-6 days a week, going through the data and coming up with their report. Because it's just, it's insane to think that we are struggling like we are right now, trying to, I mean, we've done so much work to get the departments back on their feet, the board, the office, I mean, everyone. And everybody is doing a great job, everybody's working really hard. And this is just one 6-foot hurdle that we need to get over. Because the alternative is really not good. At some point, the funds will run dry. So we're working as hard as we can to get this done.
Okay,
And again, we'll keep you in the loop as we go.
thank you.
Yes?
You had said that you were very close to making the, excuse me, last payment on this building. Do you know if that's coming up, and are you gonna have a party when it does? And will that
I'd love to
cover?
have a mortgage party,
Yeah.
but what happened? Yeah, we'll make the cake. Well, so there was 1.5 borrowed on this building originally. What happened is, we found out also that, back in, I think it was 21, that the board amended the bond and added an additional $8 to $1 million for road pavement projects. And it's, and the best that we can find, there were only 3 roads that were paved: Hayes, Smith Court, cul-de-sac, and Capitol Drive, I'm sorry, Decker Drive. Decker, I was gonna reverse, I don't know why, but Decker Drive. And I'm surmising, just like some of the other things that we had tried to locate, we believe that money had been put into the general fund, like your house general checking account, and money comes in and money goes out, you're paying your bills, you know, you're doing this, that, and the other thing. It wasn't put into a dedicated fund for paving, where the money should have been, so you could just know that that was for paving and that's where the money was gonna go. They had $500,000 that came from ARPA, which was part of COVID money. That money went into the general fund and disappeared. That should have been into a separate account, because you would have been able to spend that money on particular projects that would have been good for the village. Borrowing $4 or $3 million is not good for the village. We're paying a bill, we're not doing anything with that. We're not building roads, we're not enhancing our parks, we're not doing it. That's what the people wanted, right? We probably have a vote, we do a, some kind of a referendum to say, hey, listen, we want to borrow $3 million because this is what we want to do. You guys are happy with it, we'll do it. But this is money just paying back debt. And the issue is that I can't find where, in a sense, where all the money went, and because the village, to me, is the same as it's been over the last umpteen years. There hasn't been any monster improvements, so, the old saying, where's the money?
So you said that there was paid 1.7 million was the big hit to contractors?
Contractors and vendors, yes,
So which kind of contractors? Does this have to do with,
a variety.
does this have to do with like architectural stuff and?
GTP.
Not that I've seen,
Is
like,
there a commitment?
road, sewer repair, water repair, just bills in general. I mean, the email onslaught that we have received was just every day.
Right.
2 years, 1 year, 15,000. I'm finding vehicles that were bought, I'm getting bills from that, had no clue. and trying to find the history of this stuff has been the more difficult thing, because there isn't one spot to find things. I found a check for a vendor from 2018, stamped in an envelope to be mailed, and I found it in a FEMA envelope. So, and it was for 25 grand. So I'm sure that vendor got paid eventually, but to know that a check was in a folder is just like, yeah. And I think also, and Leslie would be best to discuss this, but when you were doing the projections of the budgets, and again, we know that they're unaudited, but we're trying to get forecast, you came up with, if you want to explain the $500,000 shortfalls and the fund balances?
For each year.
Yeah, for each year.
Yeah, so for years 19, 20, 2021, 2022, and 2023, in all of the adopted budgets, they have forecasted to use $500,000 of fund balance, meaning they use that to balance the budget. So that's, he didn't raise taxes for those years, so instead of raising the taxes, he forecasted to, use whatever's left in there, your savings account to balance the budget. So we do that for, 4 or 5 consecutive years. It's bad practice to do that with a budget, because you're not raising any additional revenue to offset the expenses, so. That's what we're trying to do now going forward. We're planning on not doing that, so we can build up the fund balance, so we can keep the tax increase to, a minimum, but every year just do a slight increase instead of 0%.
There's no reserve fund left? All that was spent? 500,000 that was,
That's what we're working on now. The audit that's currently being done is for 1920. Unaudited, it decreased the fund balance by $500,000. So at that year, there's only $1 million left in the fund balance. So each year after that, they projected to use $500,000. So if that was the trend going forward, as of today, it could be in a deficit.
Should we be going for more money than like 400, are we going for 400,000 on a bond?
That's just the 1-year principal and interest. We're looking to probably borrow between 3 to 4 million over the 10 years. So that's just the payment for that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Leslie, appreciate it. If you have other engagements,
I know.
you're free to run. All right,
You
cool.
may regret that.
All right, so continuing with our discussions, number 7, that we're receiving a grant from Orange County Tourism and Orange County Executive Steve Newhouse for $4,999. I can't thank Mr. Newhouse enough, our county exec, for kind of advising that was available. And we filled out the application, and we're again going to receive this money, and it's going to offset some of the expenses that we had for the 4th of July. So the money will go to good use, and we will try to apply for that every year to see, what we can possibly help offset our costs moving forward. And with that, number 8, we will be receiving $4,999 grant from Orange County legislator Kathy Stiganga. We're planning to, one of our crossing lights up by Taft School has been broken and missing for a number of years. So we're planning on using that money to replace a crossing flashing light warning for cars and pedestrians and so forth, so no one ever gets hurt, is the plan. So again, to thank Kathy Stiganga for her efforts in helping us with that. Let's see. Number 9, Susan, if you wouldn't mind giving an update on the help desk software.
Oh, okay, so we already had interviewed one company a couple of weeks ago that we liked the pricing. It was only $100 a month, unlimited users. And this is to help manage the incident reports when they come in, so we know where to follow up with them, what's being done, and that they get to the right department head. We Tom and I sat in on a demo for a company called Coast that has the same type of software product. It was a lot more expensive. They charge you per user, and it has a bunch of things that we really don't need. We don't need to estimate costs with this and stuff like that. We really just want something simple to track the work orders or incident reports when they come in. So trying to get a little bit more feedback. The feeling is right now to go with the first company because it suits the needs and it's economical for us. They will build it out to our specifications. There will be a link put right on the website, so when a resident does want to make an incident report, they don't have to go shopping for it. It'll be right there on the homepage like the incident report is now. Only difference is it'll be streamlined to whoever needs to get it.
Right. And the other great thing about it is that we'll have control of everything that's being reported. It'll help all our department heads because everything that would be needing to go to DPW, Chris will have it on, basically his worksheet. We can monitor that. We can set up timetables, a number of days that we'd like to see it completed, changing colors if it doesn't meet those particular times. And as it's updated, the homeowner who submitted the ticket will get an automatic email back with the updated information. So it will improve a lot of different things, especially on the communication side with folks and residents that are putting in the tickets. Because right now, it's a manual, and it's very cumbersome, and it's just an absolute horror trying to remember where you are with certain things and updating it. It just doesn't work, because we receive that amount of work orders, from tree limbs to potholes to, you name it, it's there. So, yeah, it's a slew.
Just to give you an idea of some of the ones that have come in, let's say we had chickens in a residential area, we've had tree limbs, we've had dumped grass, we had dumped dirt in a green area, potholes, sidewalks, loud neighbors, and these are all valid concerns for people, it affects their quality of life. We definitely want to be there to help if we can.
Thanks, Susan, appreciate that. Any comments from the board or all? Okay. Next is just an update regarding the fireworks that were held on July 7th. Our new event committee did an outstanding job. The amount of vendors and food vendors and non-food vendors was great. It was well attended. We think probably well over 2,000, 2,500 people. We made some changes along the way to accommodate for the vendors. At the end of the day, we had a follow-up meeting this past week. The chief said there was really no incidents at all. A couple of kids got lost, kind of normal stuff maybe, but they were found very quickly. And so, making plans for next year and hopefully, maybe bigger and better in certain ways. The fireworks, everybody really did like the fireworks display because it was busy for the 20 minutes that we hired them to do. And it was a great band, and it was just a really nice evening. And best part, we got everything in, and then it started to rain, so it was a really good night. That was well planned by the man upstairs. Anything from the board on that?
First time alcohol vendors as well.
Yeah,
Since
yeah,
July,
the
lucky
beer
that.
trucks and the slushies, everybody thought that was a big hit. We cordoned off an area, so a couple of the things that we'll do there, maybe relocate them a little bit for a larger area, but, the committee again did for their first outing, did a fantastic job, and they're starting to work on the Witchingtonville, the Halloween stuff already. We're already meeting and planning and going over a lot of things and coordinating it with the town as well, because this year it'll be part on Mates Field, coming across the parking lots of the village to Amada's, and then potentially some small stuff, EJ McLaughlin Square, to take care of those businesses that are there. So that sounds good. Let's see. Excuse me, there's been a couple of things on Facebook regarding tractor trailers going up Tolman Road and getting stuck at the low bridge, it's 9 feet. And I don't know why trucks don't have their GPSs set and don't realize that there's a 9-foot bridge up there. But we're gonna be meeting with the legislator in Taganga, and I've asked her, we'll reach out to the supervisors from New Windsor and Blooming Grove, because everybody's townships and the village are all on the roads to get there. So we're gonna try to come up with some kind of sign system so that people, larger signs and, or maybe something even with a light, so that trucks of tractor trailer size will know that's a 9-foot bridge, and they won't make it that far before they realize they're stuck and they can't turn around. So we're just expecting to have a meeting on that. Regarding Sewell Park, we're waiting for a draft plan that we are waiting for. Hopefully we'll have that in September so that we can put together our pricing scheme of what this park will look like. 3 or 4 people are kind of a committee right now, are doing a really good job. They have an architect who will be drawing this out. And again, once we get the plans, we'll be obviously sharing it at that meeting and potentially then going for grant money. Or if people, you know, they think they might be in a spot where they might have to become a 403, nonprofit 403, because if they want to ask people or donate money to the cause, they'll need to have that ability. So it's really moving kind of quick, and I've been in touch with the family members. I'll be giving them a phone call this week and letting them know that the project is moving forward, and once we have it, we'll share it with the family members. And part of that, again, is a letter to Assemblyman Marr and Senator Skoufis from our village parking lot, where, what is it, I guess it's 29 East Main Street, or West Main Street, where the village hall used to be. So that parking lot, we're trying to get sidewalks installed from our parking lot to where Sewell Park will be located. This way, everybody will not have to walk in the road, and it'll be part of the overall project when we get the park in place. And maybe I should mention this, and we've mentioned it before, but part of the concept of the park is there'll be some kind of a bandstand, gazebo large enough that, you know, easy music, guitar, quartets, things like that will be able to play evenings, weekends, make it a real nice entertainment type thing, and people then could, you know, gravitate into the village and go shopping and take, you know, advantage of, you know, our restaurants and so forth. So we're waiting on that. We'll see what goes on.
Where is the Sewell Park?
Sewell Park will be across from the middle school.
Okay.
Any questions from anybody on all of that? Hey Diane, how are you?
Wonderful. You?
Good.
I have a question, but it's more on Parks and Recreation. Many times I've asked a question about the $1,000 for a new home. And I was told,
Yeah.
previously that, the Riegers would be putting something forward. Have you received anyone from the Riegers, or are you following up on it?
I am following up on it, 2 ways. One, years ago, we had a dedicated fund, so when we would get that money, we would put it into that fund, because that's how we built the 3 parks at the end of the day.
Right, they used the last 12,000 of that to put the new slides and everything in.
Right.
8 years ago, but
Right.
new houses have been built since then.
Correct, and if there's 73, so if it's 1,000 a house, there should have been $73,000 in a fund someplace.
Plus whatever new houses are being built, I believe it was for all new homes.
Yeah, all new homes, correct.
That's correct also.
And so there was a meeting, and I'm following up with the Rieger brothers and our engineers, because they still haven't finished dedicating the roads up there because of different issues.
Okay.
Those issues are supposed to be resolved, but one of the things that I brought to their attention is that I wanted to see the checks of the deposits of the $1,000, so we know that that money actually came to the village. If it did come to the village, and looking at our accounts, I can't find $73,000 standing alone, or some, you know, money of that, tens of thousands that would be coming from the Rieger, you know, company.
Development.
You know, So we are following up on that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Everybody else good? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll jump into the resolutions. First resolution is to approve par 5 landscaping to maintain the property at 9 Bernadette Way at a cost not to exceed $120 for the initial cut and bi-weekly mowing at $60 paid by the village and re-levied to the homeowner's tax bill at the end of the year. Have that in a motion, please. Steve on the motion, second, Vernon. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
No?
Okay, motion passes 4-1. Okay. Next resolution is to accept the resignation of DPW worker Harry Steinberger on effective this date, July 17th. Have that form of motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Any questions, comments?
I'd like
I'll
to-
add that we'll just,
I'd like to thank Harry for the years of service he
Yeah.
did give to the village.
yeah, and I'd like to, Chris, we can follow up, but I'd like to- we'll send a letter to him and thanking him. Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is a resolution to approve Millennium Strategies for grant writing services for the New York Smart Growth Community Zoning Planning Grant for the amount of $170,000 in that area, is what we're trying to accomplish. This is for the comprehensive plan services. And the cost to Millennium will not exceed $4,000. Have that in motion, please.
Motion?
Steve on the motion, Susan on the second. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is a resolution to approve the Kiwanis Club to sell pumpkins and mums on September 17th from 7:30 a.m., sorry for the PM, to 4 p.m. at the Veterans Park, 29 West Main Street parking lot. Motion, please. Steve on the motion. Second, please. Vernon. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is a resolution to approve the assembly permit for 183 East Main Street for the use of the village parking lot and police crossing guard. The homeowner will reimburse the police cost along with cleaning a parking lot and bathrooms. Have that in form of motion.
I have a question on it, what
Yeah,
is this?
Let me get this,
Oh, okay.
to the point, not gonna do it. So, a motion, Donna? Second, Stephen? Sorry, Stephen, I called you Stephen. Okay, that's a second. Questions and comments, so, okay.
Sean Hagerty. What is the assembly for?
The couple who live at the Stone House that used to be part of the
Gateway.
Kleister Farm, Gateway, the couple is celebrating their 40th anniversary.
Okay.
And the gentleman is ill, so they're having an earlier 40th anniversary. They're expecting potentially 200 friends to 250, so we normally ask for a permit when it's a large gathering.
Are we normally doing this to people that don't live in the village? That is not in the
No, but-
village, that home is not in the village.
Correct,
Which
he's
you
not in
know.
the village, that's correct. It's the location of where he lives.
I understand where he
Right.
lives.
Right, and normally, no, we wouldn't do that. It's only because he's across the street from the park. If they have overflow and depending on the weather, he thinks he can get everybody on Kleister's property and his property. He's gonna have his own, the party and everything is gonna be on his property with porta potties and everything else. But if there's overflow, he wanted to ask to use our parking lot at Burn Allen.
They probably could use it without permission. but-
And then they're gonna pay for a police officer from the village to cross them. Brian's already has an invoice prepared and they're okay with paying it to, to take care of the officer's time.
But that won't stop anybody from the village from using the park. correct?
No, not at all. And they're not using Burn Allen Park at all. It's gonna happen at his house. But if there was overflow parking, say it's wet and maybe it's bad weather or something, they would use our parking lot just to park the car. The people would walk through the park, get to the street, the officer will cross them and make sure everybody's safe.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions on it? Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Okay, if not, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0, thank you. Next is a resolution to approve the sign permit for the golf shop located at Brotherhood Mall. You have it in your packet, it's a standard letters that match the rest of the red lettering at the mall. There's no lighting to it, it's just gonna be red letters. Okay. So with that, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
And and Vernon, on the second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Question.
Question?
Diane?
When is the
I'm
golf
sorry.
shop opening?
I don't know. I went by there the other day and there was construction going on, but I haven't had a date of when they're gonna open.
Okay.
Anybody else? Did we vote? I think we voted, or we didn't. So all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, thank you. Next is a resolution to authorize Washingtonville Little League softball, girls softball, to use the Woodfield softball facility from July 10th through September 1st at 5 to 7:30 p.m., Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. In your packet is their permit and their insurance information. Can I have that form of motion? Motion. Steve, second, please.
Second.
Susan. Questions, comments? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Resolution to schedule the public hearing to be held on Monday, August 7th at 7 p.m. to consider a local law to amend Chapter 26, Article 4, procurement policy. And we also brought this up at the last meeting, so there's plenty of time for the notice. Motion, please? Motion from Vernon. Second?
Second.
Donna squeezed that one out. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is a resolution, and this is a slight change. We did have a resolution to approve a sign, for Dr. Canuck's family dentistry sign. There's a new dentist coming, but we haven't received the permit or the exact colors that they're planning on using. They wanted to refurbish the sign that's there. So as soon as we have all that information, we'll get that passed. But this is to, excuse me one second. On the back. Okay. So this is a resolution to approve the New York State Consolidation Funding application. Excuse me, I'm losing my throat. So this is it's basically a resolution. This document will accompany the application for the company that we talked about earlier, Millennium, with the application so that they know that the board is in agreement with this and this is their supporting documentation. So it would be a motion by the village board. I just happened to put in Susan's name, seconded by board member Steve Prescher, that the following resolution would be adopted by the village board, Village of Washingtonville, New York, whereas New York State is accepting applications for the 2023 funding round of New York State Consolidated Funding Application, CFA. Sorry, guys. Tickle. And now therefore be resolved by the village board that the mayor is here authorized to submit consolidation funding application for 2023 round New York State for programs including Department of State Smart Growth Comprehensive Planning Grant Program, and upon approval of said request to enter into to execute a project agreement with the state for such financial assistance to the village of Washingtonville. And therefore be resolved that the aforementioned potential grant agreement are subject to the approval of the village attorney as form and content. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Steve on the second. Any questions or comments on that?
This is for the November cutoff for that funding round,
This is actually for
or is it for the
July
next,
28th.
the next year's?
July 28th is a cutoff for most of the grants. They do the announcements and, what's that word that they use? Approving and giving the grant, awarding the grants is in November, December.
That's what it's meant.
Right, and this is just a document that will support and add on to the application when I submit it. Okay, so we had the motion, we had comment, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0. Okay. So that concludes our agenda. Now we're back to public comment, if anyone has any. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped over that. Next would be abstract to authorize budget transfers and amendment as necessary to effect the necessary transfers of funds and to pay warrants. A motion?
Motion.
Susan? Vernon on the second. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Next is public comment. Does anyone have anything you'd like to bring to the floor?
Bill,
Just give us your name and address, please.
Diane Mack, 25 Capitol Drive. On 6/13, I spoke to you, Tom, or I texted you, I don't recall which one it was. I believe we text. I asked about the street sweeper. I don't know, is it fixed? Has it been out?
Actually, we just got it back last Friday.
Okay.
This, I guess that would be the 7th or the 6th we got it back, right, Chris? It broke. It broke again. Okay, so it's down.
Okay, so with the storm for the last 2 weeks, there's a lot of gravel, rocks, debris,
Yeah.
all in the road. Is it gonna get cleaned?
Well, I thought we were gonna clean it with our sweeper, and now I'll talk to Chris and find out what the issue is with it, so we get it back online.
Yeah,
If
because
we need to
it-
rent something, then if this thing is gonna be down for any period of time. We were out yesterday cleaning up debris at Tower and 208, cleaning up catch basins, because a lot of the leaves, debris, rock, twigs were blocking some of them on North Street. So, yeah, we'll be out there.
Okay, again, on 6/13, I spoke to you about the corn bales, the hay bales, the corn stalks, the, Shop Small Christmas sign that's on the, right in the center of the Fulton Square sign. It's still there.
Is it on the road or is it at the,
It's on the sign.
which,
Boom. So my question is it ever gonna come down? Being, you did put pretty flowers up, they look beautiful, but when
but
you,
is it at the front door of the store?
no, when you turn it onto Depot
Yeah,
Street,
Depot, right,
right there, big sign, Fulton Square.
right.
On either side are old hay bales that are just ratty looking.
Never noticed.
Did you fill out an incident report? Because I haven't seen any incident reports for that.
Well, I'll talk, well, we've already addressed a couple of issues
I
down here.
believe I did put an incident report.
Okay, I'm just saying,
I
I'd say,
believe I did,
I
and
don't
then I
remember
followed up
seeing
with
it,
you.
but we'll talk to the building inspector. If you can put one in, that would be great, just as a backup, and we'll talk to him tomorrow and send him down, take a look at it.
Okay, so they're there, okay, very unsightly.
Which one?
The sign and everything, first, the question is, who put them there?
The landlord? or his tenants.
Oh, so
Would be my
it
guess.
wasn't like, we're decorating in the village, they were put up,
Not by us,
okay, because the
that
scarecrow
really
was there
private
just
property? We
too
wouldn't
recently.
be
So I'm just
decorating
wondering,
someone's
whoever
store.
puts them up should take them down.
Agreed.
Makes sense, and maybe they forgot they put them up, so
And you
we'll,
drive in
we'll
there every
give
day.
them a call.
Stop.
Well, they don't, I don't know, can't answer for them.
Ah, okay. The weeds outside, Orange County Transit.
They supposedly cut them down already.
Oh,
They were
did
taken
they?
care of.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate, the other thing I appreciate is, I think I hear speakers,
Yes.
that I
Yes.
can actually hear you.
Yes.
That's a wonderful thing, so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Question, how many DPW workers do we have now that Harry resigned?
Nine?
Well, we have,
9?
I think it's 9.
yeah, we think we're down, because Mark is offline because he was injured. And now with Harry, I think we're at 9. We're back to 10 because we had Al. I'm sorry?
10 with me.
With
and
you.
then Al is part-time and
Right.
Larry's.
Yeah, Harry was, yeah, I mean, he was basically doing the watering, so he wasn't obviously doing heavy lifting type of stuff, and Al's doing basically, was helping in the absence of Harry. And, I don't think you were here, but Harry submitted his resignation.
Yeah, I
right?
was here for that
Okay,
part, that's why I
okay.
wanted to know how
Yeah.
many people do we have?
Yeah, so it's 10 with Chris.
Okay, so my question is, when the person goes around and, picks up the leaves, maybe Chris, you can answer this, I don't know. They pick up the leaves and they drive by and the leaves are there for 3 months and we don't pick them up they got grass clippings in them.
Right.
But we let them sit there for 3 months.
Well, we've talked to the residents, we've wrote letters to them, we've stopped at the houses and explained to them that we don't pick up grass, and we've asked them to bring them off the curbs.
That's great, but like, in the future, instead of letting them sit there for a month, 2 months, can't we just like drop a notice in the mailbox and say, you know what, we're driving by anyway.
Well, that's what we've been doing since we got in April. When we saw this, we would approach the homeowner, send them a letter from the building department to say, or Chris would drive by to ensure that it was grass and it wasn't something that they might have missed, because some of those bags look like they've been there for 6, 7 months.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we've asked them to pick them up and bring them back in. If they haven't, then, it's a course of action that we have to go back out and potentially be a little more forceful, but, everybody would like to, take care of the front of their homes and make it nice and not have old bags that are just with grass clippings or something else.
They can't be given a ticket from the police department for leaving in the street?
Not
That's
police,
parking,
that's where it's a violation, so that would come from the building inspector.
even though it's in the street, the roads.
Yeah, they could write that up. I don't
Even the
know.
amount of
if
tree
I could
blades
check
they
with
put out
with
there are ridiculous.
the chief, I don't know if there's an ordinance or a law that they could fine somebody or write a ticket for that, I don't know.
Well, here's my other part of the question. So can we educate the residents? Because a lot of people just moved up here, let's say the last 5, 10 years, like, when do you put your brush out? When do you put your stumps out? When's the grass, what's it called, the chipper is gonna come through?
Right, you have your
Is
chipper.
it the first week of the month, or is it the last week of the month? Or is it the second week of the month?
So it's on the calendar, it's been, I'll double
Right,
check
but a
it.
lot of people don't know that, so if the,
So what do you suggest?
if the chipper goes through, let's say, the last week of the month, right?
Mhm.
And they go through, and people go, oh, the chipper's here, let me go cut down a tree. And then the tree sits there for a whole nother 4 weeks, because that's their signal to say, oh, let's cut down, or let's put our brush out. So people knew it was the last week, second to the last week.
It should be the third Thursday.
I
third or
think,
fourth
you-
Thursday.
like, there's new residents here, and they need to be educated, I think. That's just my opinion. I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I appreciate it.
You know, just an opinion.
So I think what we're talking about doing back here, as you're discussing it, is put a calendar together and mail it out on an annual basis, so that we could have everything down there, similar to what they do with the Blooming Grove calendar, so you know recycling and things, what needs to be picked up. We'll
Right,
put
or
something
some,
out.
a welcome package, if
Yeah.
somebody's moving into the neighborhood, here,
Right.
this will help you so much.
Right, and
And then,
yeah.
it's beneficial to
Yeah,
everybody.
and I'm starting to do that, I did that in my previous terms, that we have a system now that Susan put together, so that when a new resident, a house is being sold, before you weren't getting any information on, we would get a final notice to say they need a final meter reading. Then we would get the meter reading and it would have been done, but they never got any information on the transaction itself of, we know who's living in the house, but we don't know who's coming into the house, right? So now we have a process and a form, it's notarized, and it's part of the closing package, when the banks are doing their thing, that we know that, you know, Diane just moved in on 25 Congress, and, you know, and then what I ended up doing is I was sending letters out with the pertinent information about garbage pickup. You're in this particular zone, so your garbage is picked up on Wednesdays, you put your garbage out on Tuesday night, you know, that kind of stuff. And then we can expand it and put it onto a calendar, so that it's really available for everybody. The welcome letter is just saying, you know, kind of welcome and thanks,
Right.
you know, yada, yada.
Educate 'em.
Right,
You know, that's
Simple
all I'm
stuff.
saying.
right,
Okay, one more thing.
sure.
Sure.
Okay, so, again, spoke to Tom. There's a culvert at the end of Capitol, in between Capitol and.
Yeah, on Congress,
You know, it's not really Congress, but, I
Capitol.
put one in February, I put one in April
Right,
and June.
right.
I'm just wondering, when will it be taken care of?
Well,
And this is when, you could still put a paper in. My question is,
what does that mean? Still put a paper on?
you know, an incident report.
Oh, okay, okay.
A handwritten paper.
Yeah.
So my question is, does anybody call the resident back and say, oh, we got your incident report? Or an email, a phone call to say, listen, you're on the list, we're gonna be taking care of it.
Yes,
A phone call,
yes,
Yes.
Yes,
an
we are.
acknowledgement.
yes, we are. Between the building inspector and wherever, right now, and I don't know if you were here for this portion of it, but we're looking at a work order help desk type software package. So that when an incident is put into the system, it automatically goes to, if you say something about a sidewalk, it automatically goes to Chris. If it was something to do with lawn maintenance, it automatically goes to the building department. We will be copied on every one that happens. The software package, we can track, run reports, know what Chris is doing on a daily basis. So if it's an easement that needs to be cleaned out, or there's a tree blocking something, we know that he's gonna be working on it, because we meet weekly, and everything gets prioritized. And based upon the description of what the issue is, we go out, we check it, we take pictures. This application will be on our phones. We can take a picture, upload the picture to the incident, and then as he's fixing it, or as he removes it, he makes his comments, he presses complete, you get a response to know that it's been done. And you'll get if it's just updates along the way to say that we've looked at it, we've taken pictures, we're coming out next Thursday. You'll get emails along the way keeping you updated. Right now, it's a manual, completely frustrating process, because everything is manual. And so it's double checking. Again, we meet on a weekly basis, we talk daily, but this is where we go over some of the high priority issues. From all the times that you've reached out to me and the times that I've gotten back to you, it's something that I've explained to you that we are definitely gonna get to that. I said, but when I went down there on that Sunday, and it was pouring, that water was running right through the pipe without any hesitation, no backing up. I understand your concern, and I told you we're gonna do it, but we had 2 other projects that we're knocking out right now, and we're gonna get to it.
I'm not arguing that.
No, I know, I'm not arguing either, I'm
About
just
a
explaining
phone-
to you.
I'm not computer savvy, okay, so I'm not technical, I don't do social media, anything like that. I'm old school, I like a phone call, just saying, a phone call.
Well, if it's just a phone call, then we'll probably realize that because you won't put an email address in on the work order. So if there's a phone number, then yeah, you'll get a phone call back.
So don't put an email, I do.
If you don't want an email, then don't put the email in, because the email, again, is a way that we can give you and correspond to you at the moment of where that is, what the status is. So you don't have to think about, I put that in 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and I haven't heard anything. If Chris is doing something on that particular issue, and he updates the ticket so that we're on board of what's going on, you get the email. The one thing we will check on this system, just making me think now, is that if you don't want the email, will the system be able to text you? Because there are a lot of people out there, and that's why we try to cover all the bases. When we do CTY messages, we update the website, we update our Facebook page, we update everybody's Facebook page, because not one person has emails, not one person follows everything. Everybody has their own particular niche and what they want to do and how they want to receive their information. So we're trying to cover it all, and this is one thing, but this software package will make our jobs easier, make the department heads easier, and you guys will be informed on an ongoing basis of what the issue is and when it's resolved. So we're working really hard. We just looked at 1 package, we've seen 2, we're gonna be looking at 3, potentially. If not, the first one that we've seen is very affordable and super flexible. So that's the one, personally for me, that's the one I would like to go with. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anything else?
There was something you mentioned, but it just went out of my head, but okay, I'm good.
Okay, cool, thank you, appreciate it.
And I'll show you pictures, I'll show you Chris too, the pictures I took this morning when I walked.
Okay, yeah, send them, that's perfect, yeah, text them
The
over.
street sweeper, something needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, a little kid riding down the hill,
Yeah,
riding their bike, they hit their brakes, they're not stopping.
yeah, we'll find out what's up with the sweeper and we'll be out there.
Oh, what, I know, that was my last question, I'm
No,
sorry.
wait, there was one before that, you said it was last.
Do these meetings get posted?
Yes.
Yes.
Was last,
I
the
just
first
posted it,
week
Diane.
of July put on?
Yes,
Yeah.
Where?
I just did it today.
Oh, okay,
It's on the website as well.
okay. I was
Yes,
just
it's
wondering,
up to
no,
you.
I went on the website and I didn't see the meeting, that's why
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hold on, just so you know, when I upload them to YouTube, it takes almost a day for it to, it's linked to our webpage, but it could take a day before you go onto our webpage and see the link. You're better off, if you want it more timely, go onto our YouTube channel.
Well, I
Village
go
of
on the village webpage
Yes, you
and I
can,
hit view meeting and,
yes.
but when was that meeting? July first,
Yeah,
second?
no, the fifth, no,
The
it was
fifth?
postponed to the fifth.
And today is the 17th,
And then there
so
was a
2
ZBA meeting
weeks.
the following night.
Yeah, our meetings are the first Monday and third Monday.
But that one was a Wednesday because we had postponed it because of the holiday.
We had
Right, but
online.
it took 12 days to get onto the website,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Right, yes? Because you said it just went
It
up
goes onto
today.
the YouTube channel first,
Is it the meeting or is it the agenda?
the meeting.
The meeting?
You're talking about the video, right?
No,
You're talking,
I think she's just talking about a notice, just to say that there is a
No,
meeting.
no. I go on the Village of Washingtonville, it comes up .gov.
yes,
I scroll down, on the very bottom, it says watch our channel.
yes, that's the
The
YouTube
last
channel.
meeting that was on, I believe, was June 20th.
Yes, and I'm
So my
saying, we
question
went up
was,
today.
are the meetings gonna be posted? And they are, but they just take a little longer than expected.
This is the first time it took a little bit longer,
Okay,
but they're usually up within a couple of days.
okay.
But like I said, if you go onto the YouTube channel rather than scrolling down, because that last video was it will post the
Like
most
I
recent,
said, I'm
but
not
it
a
takes a day.
computer savvy person,
Okay.
so I just go the way I know how to get on and it wasn't there, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay. Anything from the board? Leslie? Last minute? Okay. You still need to
Well, we want to talk about, we don't have anything scheduled yet, but we have that DPW contract.
Okay. So do you need it?
We don't have to talk about it tonight, because I still have to get some input from supervisor.
Okay. All right. All right, so no public hearing, public comments, okay. So with that, without any, have some, Dave?
No,
I'm sorry.
scratch.
No scratch. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Just a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Thank
Thank you very much for coming, appreciate it.
That's a wrap, kids. Mike's off.
How was your vacation, good?
Very good. Recouping.
That's a good
It'll be
vacation.
taking me about another week, I think.
Thank you. Bye, Sean.
It takes a while to carry them.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
How you doing, good?
Good. Yeah, I think I've run over just as I was coming.
What happened?
Brian, but there's better grass over there.
You can go by the tent, we get a storm there.
To step on the gate and knock it down.
I've done that.
And I got flooded.